My friends, there are moments in life when love seems so close, yet just out of reach. Many of you are waiting, praying, hoping for the day that marriage will come, for the day that the person you love will finally see your worth, your beauty, and your devotion. But sometimes, no matter how much you give, no matter how much you pour into another, they do not value what is right before their eyes. And here's the truth. Sometimes the most powerful action is not in chasing, not in clinging, not in pleading, but in stepping back, in learning to disappear for a moment, not in bitterness, not in anger, but in quiet strength. For when you disappear the right way, when you step into dignity and let the silence speak, something begins to stir in his heart. He will see what he had, and he will realize what he stands to lose. Yes, today I want to talk to you about a proven method, not by human manipulation, but by spiritual wisdom. When you carry yourself with faith, with patience, and with purpose, you won't have to beg him to marry you. He will beg you, because the moment you choose self-respect over desperation, you awaken a hunger in him that only commitment can satisfy. Silence has a way of reaching the heart in ways that words never can. When emotions run high, when disappointment clouds the mind, when someone you love seems blind to your worth, the natural instinct is to speak, to explain, to argue, to plead. But sometimes the more words you use, the less they are heard. Sometimes the more you chase, the faster they run. And it is in these very moments that silence becomes more powerful than any speech. Silence is not weakness. Silence is not surrender. Silence is strength. It is the deliberate choice to stop giving energy to someone who does not see your value and to let the weight of your absence do the speaking for you. Think about how human hearts work. We do not truly appreciate the sound of a song until it stops. We do not recognize the warmth of the sun until it sets. In the same way, your presence, your laughter, your encouragement, your love, those things are often taken for granted until they are no longer freely given. When you go quiet, when you choose to step back, the one who has overlooked you begins to notice what they are missing. Silence leaves a void, and the human soul does not like voids. That void begins to ache, and the ache points to the truth. They miss you more than they realize. Silence also reveals character. When you stop speaking, stop explaining, and stop defending, the other person is left to face their own thoughts. If they truly love you, silence awakens conviction within them. They start asking themselves questions they once avoided. Why did she stop calling? Why isn't she reaching out like before? What if I lose her? That uneasiness is not something you could have produced by constant reminders or lectures. Only silence can pierce the heart like that. But if they do not care, if your absence means nothing, then silence has done you a service. It has shown you the truth. You will not waste your years clinging to someone who was never meant to cherish you. Silence saves you from illusion. There is also great dignity in silence. Anyone can shout, argue, or beg, but it takes deep self-respect to hold your peace. It takes maturity to know when to step back. This kind of silence is not born of bitterness, but of wisdom. It is the silence of someone who knows their worth. When you choose silence, you are not saying, I give up. You are saying, I refuse to lower my value. That quietness carries a message louder than any demand. I am worth being pursued. I am worth being chosen. I am worth commitment. And deep within, a man respects a woman who carries that kind of dignity. He may not show it right away, but over time he feels it. He feels that she cannot be taken lightly. Consider also how silence creates room for reflection. If you are always present, always available, always speaking. He never has the chance to think. He never has the space to realize his own desire. Silence forces him into reflection. Without your voice guiding him, he must listen to his own. Without your presence filling his days, he must wrestle with what life feels like without you in it. And it is in that space of reflection that desire begins to grow. He remembers your kindness. He recalls your support. He sees the difference between your presence and your absence. And that realization is what stirs him to act, to chase, to pursue you with seriousness. There is a spiritual principle at work here too. Silence is often where God works the loudest. In silence you find strength you did not know you had. In silence you learn patience. In silence you stop trying to control someone else's choices and instead place the situation into the hands of the one who knows the heart better than you ever could. That shift of focus from constant talking to quiet trust releases you from anxiety. You are no longer enslaved by the need to convince him. You are free, and freedom is attractive. A confident, peaceful spirit speaks volumes, even in silence. Silence is not a strategy of manipulation. It is not about playing games. It is about valuing yourself enough to step back and let the truth speak for itself. It is about recognizing that love cannot be forced, that affection cannot be begged, that commitment cannot be demanded. True love must rise on its own, and silence is the soil where that realization often grows. So when you choose silence, you are choosing wisdom. You are giving space for what is real to be revealed. You are declaring with quiet strength that your value does not decrease simply because someone has failed to see it. And in that silence, the one who once overlooked you may finally open his eyes and realize what he is about to lose. And when he does, the silence you once thought was emptiness becomes the very voice that calls him back to you. Not casually, not halfway, but with the desire to make you his forever. Distance has always been a mystery in relationships because it seems like the opposite of love. We are taught that closeness, constant communication, and continuous presence are the ways to build connection. Yet too much closeness without balance can cause someone to take you for granted. When you are always available, always answering, always running to meet his needs, he begins to feel secure in your presence, but not inspired to pursue it. This is why distance, when chosen with wisdom and dignity, creates desire. It does not kill love. It awakens it. It does not push him away. It reminds him how much he needs to come closer on his own. When you step back, you give him the gift of space. Space is what allows him to feel the reality of your absence. And that absence begins to echo in his life in ways you may never fully see. He notices when the calls stop coming in as often. He notices when his day feels empty without your encouragement. He notices when the little things you used to do are suddenly missing. At first he may not understand it, but slowly it dawns on him that life was better, brighter, and richer with you present. That realization does not come when you are constantly around. It comes when distance forces him to reflect. Think of how we often overlook simple blessings. We do not notice the value of fresh air until it is polluted. We do not appreciate light until we walk in darkness. We do not understand the sweetness of companionship until we taste loneliness. In the same way, he may not fully grasp the gift of your love until he feels what life is like when you are no longer right there at his side. Distance creates contrast, and contrast is what sharpens desire. Distance also shifts the balance of pursuit. When you withdraw, even slightly, he begins to feel the responsibility to move toward you. A man's heart was created to pursue, to chase, to fight for what matters. When you hand everything over too quickly, he has nothing left to fight for. But when you step back with grace, you create a challenge that awakens the best within him. He begins to ask himself what he is willing to do to keep you. He begins to measure his feelings in actions rather than empty words. This pursuit is not born out of manipulation, but out of the natural pull that distance awakens in a serious heart. There is another hidden strength in distance. It protects you. By stepping back, you are not only giving him the chance to realize what you mean, you are also giving yourself the chance to see him clearly. If he does not move toward you when distance is placed, it reveals a lack of depth in his feelings. If he does not notice or does not care, then you are spared from building your life around someone who is not truly invested. Distance becomes a filter, separating those who are temporary from those who are true. It clarifies who is willing to cross the space to reach you and who will let you walk away without effort. Distance is not about punishment. It is not about playing games. It is about valuing your own heart enough to create boundaries. It is saying, I am not afraid to step back because I trust that if this love is real, it will endure. And if it is not real, I am strong enough to walk away. That kind of quiet confidence draws respect, and respect is the soil in which deep love grows. When he sees that you are not desperate for his attention, but steady in your own worth, his desire to claim you as his own intensifies. Even spiritually, distance holds power. It teaches you patience and dependence on God rather than dependence on another person's constant presence. When you step back into prayer, when you put space between yourself and him, you allow the relationship to either grow under God's timing or to fade if it is not meant for you. And in that process, you find peace. Peace that you are not chasing or begging, but standing still and letting love prove itself. So the paradox of distance is that it does not weaken true love. It strengthens it. It does not destroy connection. It deepens it. It turns casual affection into serious reflection. It turns comfort into longing. It turns complacency into pursuit. When you step back, he begins to feel the loss. And in feeling the loss, he discovers how much he truly wants you near. And in that awakening, desire is no longer something you must spark with effort. It is something distant sparks naturally within his heart. Self-worth is the foundation upon which all healthy love is built. Without it, you give yourself away too cheaply, you settle for less than you deserve, and you allow others to define your value. But when you know your worth, you do not have to demand respect, because your presence commands it. You do not have to beg for love, because your dignity attracts it. And when it comes to relationships, understanding your worth can be the difference between waiting endlessly for someone to commit and inspiring them to step forward and claim you as their own. When you choose to disappear with